Marcus stood frozen in the doorway of Mr. Whitmore's corner office, his maintenance uniform still damp from fixing the broken radiator on the third floor. The man behind the mahogany desk looked up with that familiar smirk, the one that always made Marcus's stomach tighten with a mixture of anger and helplessness. "Want a look?" Whitmore whispered, sliding a manila folder across his desk. Marcus's heart hammered. In 3 years of working at Whitmore Industries, he'd learned that nothing good came from that tone of voice. Marcus Carter had been scrubbing floors and fixing pipes at the corporate building downtown for longer than he cared to admit. At 32, he was raising his 6-year-old daughter Jasmine alone after his wife left when their baby was barely 2 months old. Every day was a carefully orchestrated dance of dropping Jasmine at school, working 2 shifts when he could get them, picking her up from his mother's house, helping with homework, and collapsing into bed only to do it all again. He didn't complain. Jasmine was his world, and he'd walk through fire for her smile. But Whitmore made everything harder. The man seemed to take pleasure in reminding Marcus of his place, assigning him the worst jobs, making snide comments about people who couldn't cut it in the real world. Today felt different though. There was something almost gleeful in Whitmore's expression as he gestured to the folder. Marcus approached slowly, his work boots heavy on the plush carpet. He picked up the folder with calloused hands and opened it. Inside were photographs, crisp, clear images of a younger Marcus in a cap and gown, standing in front of MIT's main building. More photos showed him in a laboratory, working on complex engineering projects, receiving an award for innovative design. His breath caught. How did Whitmore get these? Surprised, Whitmore leaned back in his leather chair. Did some digging after I overheard you helping my son with his calculus homework last month at the Christmas party. Imagine my shock discovering my maintenance man is Marcus Carter, the Marcus Carter who had a full scholarship to MIT, who was published in engineering journals at 23. The smirk widened. So what happened? How does someone with your credentials end up mopping my floors? The shame Marcus had buried for years surged up, hot and suffocating. He remembered it all. The late-night phone call about his father's stroke, dropping out to care for him, the medical bills that swallowed his savings, meeting Angela, falling in love, Jasmine's birth, his father's death, Angela's departure, the custody battle that drained what little he had left. By the time the dust settled, he was a single father with a mountain of debt and a resume gap that no engineering firm would overlook. Life happened, Marcus said quietly, moving to put the folder down. Wait. Whitmore's voice stopped him. The smirk was gone. I didn't pull this to humiliate you. I pulled it because my company is bleeding money. We've got an efficiency problem in our manufacturing division that 3 consultants couldn't solve. They want $200,000 to even start. But you, he paused, actually looking at Marcus like he was human. You solved a problem in 15 minutes that my son's tutor couldn't crack in 3 sessions. You redesigned the loading dock workflow last year without being asked, saved us 4 hours a day. Marcus stood perfectly still. I'm offering you a position. Junior engineer. Real salary, benefits, flexible hours for your daughter. Whitmore pulled out another folder. This is the contract. I need someone who understands how things actually work, not just in theory. Someone who's solved real problems with limited resources. Marcus thought of Jasmine, of the scholarship applications he'd been secretly filling out for her future, of the apartment with the leaky ceiling he couldn't afford to leave. He thought of every condescending comment, every late night, every moment he'd felt invisible. Why now? He asked. Whitmore sighed, and for the first time looked almost human. Because I almost missed it. Almost missed that the answer to my problem was right in front of me, pushing a mop cart. Makes a man wonder what else he's not seeing. He met Marcus's eyes. Because my son came home yesterday and said the maintenance guy was the smartest person in the building. And he was right. Marcus picked up the contract. As he read through it, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not the desperate kind that gets you through another day, but the real kind that builds futures. 6 months later, Marcus's redesign of the manufacturing process had saved Whitmore Industries over $3 million. Jasmine had her own desk in his office for after school, and Marcus had learned that sometimes freezing in a doorway isn't the end of the story, sometimes it's just the moment before everything changes. The strongest people aren't those who never fall. They're the ones who get back up, who keep showing up, who never let circumstances define their worth. Because you never know when someone might finally see you for who you really are.